What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Crypto World Radio, presented to you by Because Bitcoin here on Twitter Spaces. I want to remind you guys, if you're listening to us from YouTube, feel free to give us a comment for any feedback and click that bell notification for whenever these spaces get uploaded onto our YouTube channel. And if you're here listening to us via Twitter, I want to remind you guys that I do have a link up to our Discord up above if you haven't joined that yet. And also, if you don't have time to stick around through the entire space, an upload of this space will be uploaded onto our YouTube channel 5 to 10 minutes after the space is concluded. And today we're here joined by Theo Payne, a beloved member of the Because Bitcoin community. And also today we have a special guest from Messari Research. We have Adam. Adam, it's good to have you here. I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to come and talk some shop with us, what you guys do at Messari, and also your journey into the digital asset space. I know we got on a call earlier, and I'm excited to have you here, brother. It's good to have you here. How are you, my man?
Doing pretty good tonight, guys. Thank you for having me.
Well, man, I guess we'll get started to the basics, man. So, what do you guys do at Messari when it comes to the digital asset space? For those that don't necessarily know what it is, I know many of us really only really know things like Glass Node, or if you want to get even more basic, things like things like CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap. So,
Watch your
what is it
guru.
exactly? Yeah. So what is it exactly that has created such a high reputation for things like Messari Research?
Yeah, definitely. So Messari is a provider of crypto data research and analytics. Um, in addition to other tools that we have, like a governance aggregator where you can look at proposals and track everything going on, and even cast votes across all the DAOs you're in. We have like freeform research, all sorts of things, news aggregator. But the team that I'm on is the asset intelligence team. And basically, what we do is we do deep, like structured research on different crypto protocols and assets. And our main clients are like exchanges, custodians, funds, it just depends. But if they need to know about a project and its team, its legal risks, what the asset does, the roadmap, the past features that are no longer here, etc., that's where I come in and my team.
So that's what you would consider. It's this phrase that various teams and what you deal with it's called God mode, essentially, where it tracks smart money and wallet functionalities as far as where money goes, where money leaves, and things such as counterparty risks. And these are really things that aren't really available to everyday people. Am I right? Or is it actually available for the everyday person to use? Because I know when it comes to the subscription services, there's actually certain ranks. Like with Nansen, I think it's for their institutional plan. You actually have to get on a call with them. So is that what Messari caters to more of the institutional clientele at that level?
Yeah, we definitely serve a lot of institutional clients, but we do have free features that people can use. Like if you check out our website, we have a lot of like charts. There's free research articles. You can use the news aggregator without signing in and making an account, etc. But yeah, the higher we have like a pro subscription and an enterprise subscription. Like I won't spend too much time like talking about all this, but basically, um, you do get pretty good bang for your buck, I would say. Like, and the research articles available to enterprise users are pretty awesome. But what my team does is like kind of external to those subscriptions. So for the case of my team, it's more like our reports are sold to whatever client it might be on an like per asset basis usually, or they might do like a group order for multiple. And that's kind of like a side thing, but in the future, without giving like too much away, there might be some ability coming up in the future for other Messari users to be able to see some of those reports per asset. Yep.
One of the interesting things that you had mentioned during our call is that there are actually more people, more than ever, holding more Ethereum versus Bitcoin. And I wanted to ask you, do you guys have any feedback pertaining to customer clientels, like on the higher ranks, asking why that is? Because typically, in the digital asset space, the motto goes, trade the altcoins to accumulate more Bitcoin, right? You want to have your wealth denominated in Bitcoin. So, given that these assets are down anywhere from 80, 95%, why do you think that, for the first time ever, we're actually seeing more people be enthusiastic and more open to having more Ethereum in their holdings after everything that's happened? I mean, you have all these fintech companies that have gone under, um, FTX, Celsius, Voyager, what have you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Like, full disclosure, I have some Bitcoin and I have some Ethereum. I think that they're both really awesome in different ways, but I personally don't really see them as competitors. I feel like they're in pretty different verticals. The way I see it is like Bitcoin is something that, people complain that it doesn't have a lot of utility, but in my opinion, if it's really good at one thing, or if it can find like a purpose that people look to it for, that it kind of succeeds at and gains adoption for as it has, then like that's enough for it. But in the case of Ethereum, like in the last bull market, we saw a lot of talk about like Web3. There was a lot of hype about that. NFTs were popping, DeFi was really big, and all of that. But essentially, um, all that stuff, yes, FTX has crashed. That was horrendous. And there has been like a lot of, I guess, pain that was experienced for retail investors last year, and perhaps more pain to come. But nonetheless, like I think that people who have taken the time to understand Ethereum see that the potential from its technologies, such as like smart contracts, like it just, to me personally, my own opinion, I feel like it just seems like now that that technology has been seen by like intelligent people that get it, like they're not just going to forget that that's an option of new technology just because price may have suffered, right? And that goes for other smart contract platforms too. But obviously, Ethereum is the most mainstream one that the most people hold. So I think that all those people who got into crypto maybe because of NFTs, or they got into crypto for DeFi or whatever it may be, whatever got them excited, smart contracts, whatever. I feel like they're still pretty interested in that stuff. Like, yes, there's less users right now, but um, a lot of the people that like saw the light on some of the potential uses of that technology, um, I feel like that's why people have stuck around Ethereum, even though there's been a lot of price decrease on it, I guess, but could be worse.
Yeah, man. One thing that's interesting to me is that, as far as the Bitcoin community goes, Lightning Labs is a big proponent of like the developments that go on in Bitcoin, and they really want to get this thing called Taro passed through, where essentially you're going to be able to do NFTs on Bitcoin, stable coins, and basically copycatting Ethereum, sort of this omni-chain smart contract layer on Bitcoin. So I'm really interested to see how like platforms like Messari are going to integrate it within their interfaces. Do you think that's something that's going to be implemented on Messari, or is the main focus sort of like the main smart contract platforms like Ethereum or other things like I know Cosmos is getting some traction now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We cover a lot of assets. Like I can say that from personal experience. I've been at Messari for a bit over a year, and I've personally covered like 170 different asset reports. And that's just me. I'm on a team of about a little bit less than 20 people. So we definitely cover a lot of bases, not just sticking to Bitcoin and Ethereum, even though um, a lot of institutional clients and institutional investors in general, um, or maybe not a lot, but you definitely do see this represented, is that some of those parties, they are just still at the stage, especially in a bear market, where they aren't really interested in tokens outside of Bitcoin and maybe Ethereum, um, because just where they see crypto adoption right now, for maybe they don't want to take the added risk for altcoins or whatever because they don't need to make good money necessarily. But like maybe a couple altcoins outside of Bitcoin. But this really depends on which clients, what companies. Um, like for example, an exchange, like they have an interest in finding out information on a bunch of different assets, right? But if it was like a big institutional research house, maybe like some of them, they might not be as interested in a bunch of altcoins yet, if that makes sense.
Perfect, man. And do you guys look at other things outside of the digital asset space, like things going on in the broader macro space, like Europe, America, things of that nature, or is it more like native to cryptocurrency?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have some good enterprise articles on macro stuff. Um, and I like those a lot. I personally read them. But I would say overall, most analysts at Messari are spending their time looking at all sorts of assets.
Adam, do you see any trends in what type of assets people are looking for? Like if it's more of a bull market or people just asking about anything and everything, or you know, right now, like is there any trends you notice between how the market is going and like what clients are asking for?
I would say, especially after FTX, a lot of institutional clients like they want to look to be doing more careful due diligence and research than ever, especially on the assets that they want to offer. Right, like we saw Luna's death spiral last year, and like not every altcoin has that risk, but nonetheless, there can be risks associated with different coins due to their teams or functionalities or resemblance of securities, whatever it may be. So I would say after FTX, a lot of exchanges are curious about that sort of information more than ever, honestly. Um, but like I said, it really depends. But I would say, given some of the big crypto scandals of the past year, I feel like that definitely, if anything, increased the demand for a lot of different reports.
Hey, I brought up someone from the audience that requested to speak. Nicholas, what's going on, man? Do you have any statements to make or any questions?
Hi everyone. And yeah, I have a question. And last year I went to DevCon and I saw three large trends. One of those was liquid stake derivatives, and the other two is MEV and scalability. Obviously, scalability is already like a mainstream narrative. Everybody wants to get into CK rollups and layer two solutions. But how do you see the future development of MEV, whether that be as a service or, in other way?
Can you kind of repeat the question, like in the simplest way? My bad.
Uh, how do you see the future of MEV in sort of like a service way, kind of like the cow swap?
Yeah, I mean, like I personally haven't done a bunch of reporting on MEV, so I'm no super expert on that exact topic. But I feel like MEV or MEV, whatever you want to call it, like definitely a lot of people, especially with validators, are like making money off of that. But I do think that when it comes to things like people's transactions being front ran and sandwich attacked and stuff like that, like some of the more quote malicious whatever you want to call it, types of transactions and activity using MEV. Like those could potentially fall under scrutiny in the future. I could see that happening. So I think at this point it's kind of too early to say, but I think time will tell.
Adam, and how are you feeling personally about 2023 as far as any sort of new developments in the digital asset space? I mean, we've got things like blockchain modularity coming about with things like Celestia, and also Cosmos based rollups with what Saga's doing.
Yeah, I think that modular blockchains could definitely be like one of the narratives in the next bull market. Like that's my personal opinion. I'm not saying that's like a Messari opinion, but I could see that. Celestia is definitely one of the like bigger name ones. And I think that Celestia seems really cool. But I will say that whenever projects are launching with these huge FDVs and like, huge valuations right out the gate, I do think that it makes it harder to make good multiples on it. I'm not saying it's impossible, but you know what I mean? It's just like when it's starting out so big already. Um, and also, sometimes there might be a lot of VCs or other investors, whatever rounds, or maybe the team's vesting. I would say always do due diligence when you're buying into altcoins. Like, you probably want to know what's up with the vesting on those, because during unlocks, sometimes tokens get sold off or whatever.
Yeah, I've done some due diligence on that end, and it seems like they're going about the same route that Polkadot did, just doing a lot of funding in the background and not really releasing until the smoke is all clear from the market. Like, there's still some headwinds in regards to things like Genesis and all of those things. So um, yeah, getting to that, do you think that the market's gonna go through some stuff with Genesis and all that? Is that something that you guys are looking at, or is that something more on the back end that it's like, well, Genesis isn't really crypto as a whole. They're just, um, I mean, they're not really just another lending desk. They're actually the biggest. But is that something that you guys are actively looking at, or um,
Yeah,
just,
like we definitely have analysts and people that are looking and tracking all of that stuff. Like I will say, just based off of what we've already seen last year, like unpredictable events can happen whenever, and some of these negative catalysts have later effects that can make things volatile and potentially go lower in price. And I feel like Genesis is obviously like one of those things, but I do think that a lot of people have been looking at Genesis and kind of watching the situation play out for a while. So it's like, yeah, I could see that having some negative effects, like mainly with like image, but in terms of price, maybe as well. But I also think that any investor that didn't capitulate after FTX and like a lot of the crazy Armageddon type days, like if you didn't fold there, I just don't see why you would fold now. Like that's my personal opinion. Like, you made it this far, like why would you just quit on a random day now if you made it through literal Armageddon in my eyes?
yeah, man. Especially with a lot of the developments that are still going on in the space. You've got things like Obol Network that's doing the whole liquid staking derivatives. You have things like the Nillion Network that's going to be like a security layer for the all the metaverse stuff on Ethel twos, and then you have Layer Zero Labs, which I believe they're going to come out with their token second half of 2023, and then other things in regards to like all the ZK stuff that Aztec is doing. So there's still a lot of development going on in the scenes, and even with like more of the GameFi and Web3 stuff, like Shibuya, right? Decentralized storytelling, or like decentralized decentralized rights to like film stuff and NFT monetization. there's still a lot of innovation going on in the space.
Dude, yes.
When you compare it to like 2019, there's still essentially like 10x the social capital now than there was back then, even with all those insolvencies. So,
Yeah, no,
um,
I'm fully with you, man. Like the way I see it is like um none of that negative stuff that happened in my eyes discredits the innovation that's still happening. Like I've covered a lot of different projects at Messari, and obviously just working in the industry, like you see a lot of new things as they're coming out, you know. And I feel like even though, yeah, like I said, even though there's been these negative events, that doesn't take away from the fact that people are building new stuff. Um, like people are just hard at work. I know so many people in this industry that are working all day long, you know, crazy hours, pouring their heart and soul in order to make sure that we can make this a better industry for all participants, you know. And like, yeah, every once in a while you get bad apples like SBF, but for the most part, people in this space, um, like, yeah, and there are a lot of scammers, but like for the most part, the people who are doxxed and working in this space are like they care a lot about it, and I feel like they're just going to keep putting all of their effort in to create the best experience possible for people.
perfect, man. Thank you, thank you. I see we have Redacted. What's going on, my man? Good to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, thank you. I just wanted to ask Mr. Adam, Mr. 2092.eth. I see that you're donning currently the Clone X PFP, and I see also that you seem to be quite the collector of NFTs, and I was wondering, out of curiosity, right? Which NFT collections in particular are you interested in today and now and going forward into the future? And which ones what do you look for, when you're making these selections? Because your collection is quite good.
Thanks, dude. I'm definitely not going to sit up here and like
You guys are playing, man. Y'all
I'm
playing
not going to
games,
sit up here
dog.
and like show collections to anybody, you know, like that's not what I it's not what I do. It's not what I came here to do. And in general, um like I feel like everybody should just make their own choices. Like NFTs for me, it's like you have to personally either like them, or it can just be like a lotto ticket, you know. But statistically, the people that make the most money in NFTs, from like research that I've seen at Messari, are generally statistically buying more collections than other people. Like rare pieces are making people more money. There's a lot of good tools out there that you can use to watch other smart traders and see, like Wallet Watch, I guess, and see what they're minting and doing. Um, and I feel like we're in a time where there's more tools to do that than ever, honestly. And that like can definitely give traders an advantage. Obviously, those tools generally cost some money, but yeah. Does that kind of answer your question?
I think so. I think so. But I also I would look for more insight from you as to how do you evaluate these non fungible tokens, like in
He bridges to AVAX, bro, after using the Doge chain fork. That's how he evaluates the NFTs, bro.
Oh,
That's the
bro.
secret
Like
sauce.
honestly, like I just kind of look for momentum or narratives or whatever, personally. But I'm not like a super profitable NFT trader by any means. Like I'm not the person to consult if you like are trying to become the
You're more of a
greatest.
collector, right?
Yeah, or like sometimes I'll just, like I said, if I see like a quick flip opportunity, then like I might go for it, but that doesn't always mean that I'm going to time the exit right either. Or, you know, like not every trade is perfect, but like definitely have had some good mints and like good experiences in general. But yeah.
I see we have Big C here, man. Chris, the main man, good friend of the show. There's been my guest in the past. What's going on, my man? How are you feeling today, brother? Good to see you
Hey,
on.
doing good. How are y'all? I see
What
Adam's here.
up,
Adam's a
Chris?
good friend of mine. Adam, I was curious. Redacted brought up NFTs. Uh, does Messari actually cover NFTs? I know they do a lot of research into assets, but what about the NFT space?
Like, not really, honestly. And like me personally, I would love to see that feature, like, in more coverage of that type of stuff. And I definitely have like brought it up once or twice, but at current point, there's just not really demand for it in a profitable way, I guess, you know? Like, people don't want to buy reports on different NFT projects to the same degree that they're willing to spend money on a per token basis per se. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense from the enterprise perspective. But I do NFTs are going to be a driver of adoption, going forward. For consumers, I think some research would make sense. So that might be something to talk about to the team.
It's probably just because the people asking for these reports can't size in and just like uh, go in with like $3 million or whatever in the same way they could a token with liquidity, because obviously there's limited liquidity based off how many are in the collection. Would you say that, Adam?
Yeah, for sure. Like in NFTs, I feel like liquidity is pretty king in my opinion because I mean, probably everybody out there's had an experience holding the bag on NFTs before, or you buy something that goes to zero or something like that, you know, like if you're degenning on chain. That type of stuff happens. So I would say, some collections are a lot more liquid than others. And I would also say that a lot of the money made in NFTs comes from the top traded collections. Um, so those are something to watch potentially. Um, like we don't know what this year is going to hold, right? Like it could end higher than last year. Like I personally like to remain optimistic, but we also see like Goldman Sachs and Coinbase are laying off a lot of their staff in the past week, and it's like Coinbase has made it through so many bear markets. They've been around since like 2012, and Goldman Sachs, like it goes without saying, those guys are pretty smart. So it's like I would like to think that they probably aren't just capitulating at the bottom because they've made it through a lot more downturns than I have, right? Like I'm pretty young. These guys have been in the game since I was like a teenager or a kid, you know what I mean? So, but that being said, a year is a long time and we're barely in January. So, nobody knows what'll happen. Me personally, I just look at like tokens I like. And if the price looks cheap to me and my eyes, then I might bid it, right? But probably just DCA. Or if it seems like a steal, then I might like ape harder. Yeah.
Would you be open to the idea of an echo bubble this year? And if you are, like, how do you think that's going to look like, man? Me personally, I think we'll end off the year at like 30K, 32K for BTC. Nah, I'm not sure how high of an evaluation these alts are going to be, given that things like BTC dominance is going up, and also stable coins still haven't stopped their dumping. Really, there's still some people that are withdrawing their stable coins, but more recently, there have actually been people deploying stablecoins into exchanges, and that's why you're starting to see spot catching up to derivatives. Of course, like if you're a TA guy, you could say that like, oh, Bitcoin's running into some resistance here at what is it, 21.5, 21.4, around the same level right before FTX imploded. Um, so, what would be some things that you would potentially look out for to say that we could potentially be going into a small echo bubble? We have AI coins ripping, and more lately things like the metaverse tokens.
Yeah. I mean, things like the members tokens, like Feel Pain will tell you. We were talking about it. Like, Mana was just so shorted because like I said, my opinion, not like Messari's opinion. Like, I don't know why you would be bullish on the mana token during like the bottom of 2022, for example, right? So it's like there was so much short pressure. Like Phil Payne was telling me that there was a point where just by being long, you were being paid a fee because there was just no longs. So, um, like I think a lot of alts could scam pump, and I'm not saying they won't ever get back to those levels, but I also think that until, my opinion, until we start cutting rates or at least pause rate hikes, like pausing rate hikes is probably bullish. Once we start cutting rate hikes, I personally think that various coins are going to melt a lot of people's faces when they rally really hard because I think that there's just a lot of willing participants that are just kind of waiting for the green light. And I think a lot of institutional money's on the sidelines until there's more regulatory clarity and until market conditions are better and interest rates kind of go down. But in terms of like an echo bubble this year, like when I heard that, I just thought back to like March of last year. Like everything just rallied so hard. Like when Putin invaded Ukraine, I remember the it's all over wick went down to like $2,000 ETH, and then once it was 2,500, like I bought a little bit there just because I did like my usual DCA, and then within like a week or so, or a week or two, pretty quick, ETH was back to like kissing 3,600, and like I was super bearish, but I remember talking to one of my friends and just being like, if we're getting up to 4K ETH again, like that'd be pretty crazy. But obviously, it was a scam pump. And then when Luna died that summer, everything got pretty pretty low.
Pretty grim.
A lot of alts still haven't gone back to those lows that they reached the night of all that forced selling and Luna collapsing. You know what I mean? Oh, and 3AC unwinding, that sent a lot of alts like super low, you know? And like, but if you got in at that time, probably doing pretty good by now. Like, even though coins are still down, you might be up like a 2x or a 3x, you know? Or even like projects like Solana, like the day Solana hit $8, like everybody I like know, not like at work, but like in my friend group chats and stuff, like everyone was just saying like that is so dead. Like they didn't want to touch it.
It's going to $3.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're like, it's all over. Like, what do you not understand? Like the whole Twitter timeline was just like so in agreement that it was all over. And like what Feel Pain also says often is like you just kind of have to fade the masses consensus, you know? Like if everybody's on the same page as something, like in terms of being on the same side of a trade, like you know, it's just asking to reverse at least for a scam pump. Not financial
Yeah.
advice.
I think it just gets to a point where, like, I think if this recent rally and then past rallies, like in 2019, have taught us that no matter how bad the fundamentals are, it gets to a point where if there's just no more sellers, then it's going to reverse. So, like, like you were saying with Mana, yeah, Decentraland has 100 active users and it's billions of dollar evaluation, and obviously that's fundamentally terrible. And there's many examples of like that where just on-chain activity is awful, but you can't mid curve it too hard where you're just saying, oh, Cardano's the perfect example. Like Cardano's basically vaporware, but it's still sitting at, you know, tens of billions of dollar market cap because there comes a point where it's just if there's no one left to sell, there's no one left to sell, and it's going to reverse. And so I think I'm pretty optimistic for this year because I think we had pretty much everything go bad last year that you could possibly imagine that's specific to crypto. As far as like, I mean, think about it. We had FTX, Luna, 3AC, Genesis now. I mean, dude, like, even if SPX goes lower, I think we could see a situation like last October where SPX was making new lows and BTC was kind of just hovering around 18K. And so yeah, I mean, once these alts start pumping, there's going to be FOMO, and there'll probably be some great trades to catch.
Yeah, just be careful out there, guys. Like any trading, especially if you're using leverage and stuff, like these are treacherous waters. Like, please don't be out there
Books
risking.
are thin.
Yeah, please don't be out there risking more than you can afford to lose, because you could mess around and find out pretty quickly in this environment. But uh, fortune favors the brave, like they say on that South Park episode.
Like Matt Damon said.
Yeah, or everyone lost all their. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, even when there's like Pico FUD, in my opinion, if you like find good projects that you have like actual conviction in and you think have a chance, like not just bidding some, terrible, terrible project because it might scam pump, and that it's bad. Like if you're buying things that you think actually have some promise, then, market environments like this, you're going to get the best entries on them possible, because once we're in a bull market, good luck getting a lot of these good assets at these prices. And that's not saying like these prices as in today, but just this bear market as a whole, right? Like I wasn't bidding like the Pico bottom of like Bitcoin and ETH, I didn't catch like the complete bottom wick, but anything pretty close to those is pretty good enough for me. Like I was bidding there, but not, obviously it's a long haul this year. So just trying to play it by ear and bidding when I think prices look pretty good, but that's just me.
Yeah, we definitely still have time to accumulate at whatever price you think is undervalued. We're barely above the 2017 all-time high as far as total market cap goes. I think we reached, what was it, 900 billion, something like that, the previous cycle. And we're up, what, 10% off of that? So, you know, I don't think you'll look stupid accumulating something like Ethereum at these prices 2-3 years from now. And I agree with you, man, as far as not using leverage. Um, During bottoms, you'll have whipsaws of 20-30% and people getting liquidated left and right. And I think that's sort of what's happening right now, man. And the
Yeah.
leverage is so pent up that, like, if we were to go below the 2017 all-time high, you could potentially have a cascade to retest those lows. And you usually have a second chance to bid the bottom within the same year, actually, as far as our market cap bottom goes. So you can have a situation where, like, BTC doesn't necessarily make a new low, but all of these altcoins do, given the fact that dominance is slowly treading up. And we're at a point now where, as far as price action goes, where if BTC goes down 5-10%, you'll have these altcoins go down 20, 30, potentially 40%, just because of the amount of leverage that's been built up in such a quick amount of time, man.
No, for sure. And I mean, leverage is kind of what got us in this mess in the first place. Like a lot of the 3AC forced selling and some of those funds that collapsed, like they were super over levered, and kind of the whole market paid the price for that. Um, like Alameda, you name it. But that being said, like we even run into these issues as recent as yesterday. Like when the DOJ said that they were going to do a big announcement of like regulations and they're going to make a statement with the Treasury, like the markets got spooked instantly. Alts were down like over 10%. Like everything was just dumping because everyone thought it was going to be something super crazy. And then they came out and they just said that they had seized this like small Russian exchange. And like, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. Like, good for them for helping stop crime. Yeah, but like the markets just rallied immediately once they realized that it wasn't that big of a deal. And like people I know got liquidated when the DOJ said that they were going to make an announcement, right? Like it's that easy, you know? Maybe you were like so close to the bottom of ETH and you caught it, or maybe you were levered up in the last few days, but all it takes is like one statement by the DOJ coming up, and then you might get liquidated. And that's always going to be a risk. I'm just trying to say be careful out there, because these days, like I said, it's treacherous.
Yeah, man. So, listen, guys, I do have to cut today's episode short. I do have a very important call to attend to in a little bit. So, Adam, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day and talking shop with us about all things Messari and what it is you do, and all the things that you're enthusiastic about in the digital asset space, including how you see the future narratives playing out, and your thoughts on 2023 and what you guys look at in Messari when it pertains to the broader market. Thank you so much, man. And everyone here in the audience, I want to thank you all for participating in another segment of Crypto World Radio, presented to you by Because Bitcoin here on Twitter Spaces. And just as a reminder for everybody, the spaces will be re-uploaded onto our YouTube channel in about 5 to 10 minutes after the space is concluded. And don't forget to follow us here on Twitter at Because Bitcoin. And also, just a reminder, all of our content moving forward will be streamed here on Twitter Spaces, Market Check, Market Talk, and also Crypto World Radio. And feel free to join our Discord up above on the Nest. So, with that being said, everyone, thank you all so much for your time. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Feel Pain. Thank you, Nicholas, for coming up. And also our friend Chris from NGC. Thank you guys so much. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah,
I
thanks, Adam. You're the
believe.
man, bro.
Nah,
Appreciate
I,
you coming up.
thank you guys for
I
having me.
know it was
Talking
short
this.
notice, but also everyone give Adam a follow. He's a great guy, and he has some great threads about just different things going on in the market. And yeah, you guys should check him out. But thanks everyone for coming up.
Appreciate it a ton. Looking forward to keeping in touch and talking more with you guys soon. Hope everybody here has a great night.
no doubt, guys. No
Take care,
doubt.
brother.
I'll see you guys tomorrow at the usual time at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And don't forget to check out Market Check at 11 a.m. Eastern Time here on Twitter Spaces. Thank you all so much. Take care. Thank you for supporting us, and God bless you.
The trading current is just math. It's just math. It has a 95.45% hit rate when we deviate outside of CP2 and CN2. All you had to do is recognize that 95% of the time when we get over here, under this blue line, we get some sort of mean reversion. So let's just assume you long right here. 95 out of 100 times, when I buy this, I'm going to get some sort of bounce. It's just math. Look what would have happened as we move up. Look at the bounce that came after. And now look where we are. If you had just blindly followed the current, you take all emotions out of it, you say, I'm going to trust the statisticians. You would have bought Dow Jones somewhere down here under 30,000, depending on how you want to measure it from absolute top to bottom, 20% move. We also have multi-time frame alerts. You don't even have to be at your computer on TradingView. You can ping your phone. Now the current has some really awesome features, and I would urge you guys to join our Discord to get access to it. We give it away for free as a tool to the community. It's just math. There's really no need to overcomplicate things, not even in the slightest.